Yo, what's good, Jets Nation? This is Jets Media, bringing you guys the next episode on the series I created on my channel when I break down each player on the New York Jets, and in this one, I'll be talking about our star middle linebacker, CJ Mosley. I previously made a video on the news that CJ Mosley is officially fully healthy and is expected to participate in training camp fully whenever that happens. We don't know when training camp is starting, but that is a huge sign. CJ Mosley is fully healthy. So right before I get in this video, I just want to mention you guys can follow me on Instagram and Twitter. I post daily Jets content on there, and I post all news, breaking news about the Jets and NFL in general. So with that being said, let's jump right into CJ Mosley. So as we know, CJ Mosley is the best player on our defense, not named Jamal Adams. CJ Mosley is a top 5 middle linebacker in this league when healthy. We saw him play 2 quarters on the Jets in 2019. Well, not including the game where he came back against the Patriots on Monday Night Football. Should not have played that game. He was not himself. He was limping around. I do not understand why he was playing, but that's okay. He wanted to be on the field with his guys. I don't blame him. But looking at his first game as a New York Jet against the Buffalo Bills, he had a pick 6 and a fumble recovery in 2 quarters. Think of that. Like, what? Like, that just doesn't happen. You know, I remember watching the Jets-Bills game, and he had that pick 6 first 5 minutes of the game, and I'm like, wow, that's how CJ Mosley, like, solidifies himself as a New York Jet, just picking off Josh Allen and returning it for 6. Obviously, that's fantastic. And unfortunately, he ruptures his groin after having an amazing play, too. It was in the back of the end zone. It was a pass deflection, and he was dropping back in the end zone and just, like, hit the ball. He wasn't even looking at the ball. Somehow he instinctually just knocked the ball down, and somehow he just ruptured his groin, and he was out and had to get surgery, and we know all about that injury. It lingered all throughout the season, and now he's fully healthy months later. So it's a good thing that CJ Mosley is ready to go, because I was worried he wasn't going to be able to go on the field because this injury really scared me. But as we know, looking at the first game against the Bills, this Jets defense can be on another level with him playing. And this defense was pretty solid without him. And obviously, CJ Mosley did not play at all in 2019 after the Bills game and not counting the Patriots game. And we had backups like Neville Hewitt, James Burgess, Blake Cashman, all these young, no-name middle linebackers that are just stepping in for CJ Mosley. And they played solid. But imagine we have a healthy CJ Mosley with a returning Avery Williamson that's healthy. That's a very good inside linebacker core. And I can just go on how important a middle linebacker position is. He's the quarterback of the group. He's calling the plays on defense. He's scanning the offense, and he's lining all the guys up on the defensive line, the safety. He's making sure everybody is on the same page. And when he went down, that was a huge blow for this Jets defense. I'm telling you, the Jets defense was really good, like surprisingly really good with the injuries that we had in 2019. Just imagine how elite this defense can be with a healthy CJ Mosley playing all 16 games and an Avery Williamson returning. Those 2 middle linebackers can really bring this defense into another level because CJ Mosley is just so good at run stopping. He has that feel for the game where he knows what's coming. He can just see the formation. He studies the game of football. He knows what's coming before it even happens, and that's a guy you want. Him and Jamal Adams are the 2 stars on our defense, and I'm really excited to see them 2 on the field together in 2020. So going into CJ Mosley's stats, I'm going to give you guys his 2018 stats because as we know in 2019 he did not play. So he really did not have any stats besides a pick 6 and a fumble recovery and a pass deflection in 2 quarters. Pretty insane, I know. So his 2018 stats were 105 total tackles, 70 solo tackles, 35 assist tackles, a half sack, 1 interception, 5 pass deflections, 0 forced fumbles, and 0 fumble recoveries. This is obviously his last season as a Baltimore Raven, and these are really good stats across the board. You want to have your middle linebacker racking up 100 total tackles plus. That shows you you're an elite middle linebacker. We gave CJ Mosley a lot of money. He was the highest paid middle linebacker when we signed him in the offseason, and I'm pretty sure somebody else beat his contract, but we're giving him a lot of money, and he showed that he's worth that money if he's healthy. Obviously, it's not worth the money if he's not on the field. Availability is a big, really big factor when it comes to CJ Mosley. But the thing is, he was healthy all throughout his career in Baltimore, so it really shouldn't be that much of an issue. I know he had a crazy injury that unfortunately sidelined him for the whole season, but I'm hoping and trying to be optimistic that CJ Mosley will bounce back and be available all 16 games and will have better stats all across the board. So here are my projected 2020 stats for CJ Mosley. I see him racking in 108 total tackles, 72 solo tackles, 37 assisted tackles, 2 sacks, 3 interceptions, 8 pass deflections, 2 forced fumbles, and 2 fumble recoveries. I really think these stats are very realistic for a guy like CJ Mosley, especially in a Greg Williams scheme. And you saw what he did in his first 2 quarters as a Jet. He really showed that he is elite. He is a next level guy. He is a top 5 middle linebacker in this league when healthy. So if he can just really get on the field and just play football with the Jets, with Greg Williams' scheme, with Jamal Adams next to him, with an upcoming Quinnen Williams who's going to wreak havoc in the interior defensive line. Hopefully Jordan Jenkins can solidify that edge presence, and then we have to get that other edge presence. We don't really have that elite guy on the edge, but having a guy like CJ Mosley, the head communicator, the leader, people gravitate towards him. People want to learn from him. He understands the scheme more than anybody else because that's his duty. So I really think these stats are realistic and could happen. It can even be better than these stats, but you never know. I hope CJ Mosley can come close to these stats and just play all 16 games. Going into CJ's strengths and weaknesses, his strengths is he's a leader, instinctual leader. He doesn't have to try to be a leader. That's just in him. You know, you can tell all the interviews, seeing him around the young guys. It's just in him to young people gravitate towards him, and they want to learn from a guy like CJ Mosley. He's a Pro Bowl middle linebacker from Alabama. He's just a very good player and a workhorse, and you want to learn from a guy like that. His play recognition, he can scan the offense and just know what's coming because obviously he puts a lot of time in studying the film of the opposing offense before they're reversing him throughout the week. So he just really understands the game of football, and that's what you want at your middle linebacker position. He's a great play caller. You know, he's calling the plays. Obviously, Greg Williams is calling the plays because he's a defensive coordinator, but if there's an audible or, you know, like Sam Darnold in the offense, Adam Gase calls a play, but Darnold sees something else, so he calls an audible. So that's CJ Mosley's role. Greg Williams calls a play, but then something else happens, so CJ Mosley has to adjust and call an audible real quick and get all the guys linked up on the same page. And that's important to have a leader like CJ to be good at that because you need them all on the same page. His tackling ability, I mean, he had 100-plus tackles in his last season in Baltimore. He's just a bona fide elite tackler. You can just wrap him up in the open field, and he's just elite at that. His zone coverage, I think CJ Mosley is really good at zone coverage. He can, in that middle of the field, he locks it down. He's not the fastest guy. He's not going to keep up with a speedy guy in the slot, but if anybody is going over the middle and he's solidifying that zone, he will keep up with them and get a pass deflection, even an interception, as we saw. I keep saying it, but in his first 2 quarters as a New York Jet, he had a pass deflection and an interception. That's good zone coverage. So going into his weaknesses, I just have 2 things, durability and a lot of money. Durability, obviously, he was not playing all throughout the season, so that's an issue. We need him on the field, and I hope that's not an issue. And like I said earlier as well, it was not an issue for him in Baltimore, so I'm hoping it will not be an issue in his career for the Jets anymore after 2019. And then a lot of money, that's just a weakness because we're pouring in a lot of money. Like a lot of our cap space is going towards CJ Mosley, and if he's not on the field and we're giving him that much money, that is a huge negative for this team. There's a lot of holes on this team, and we cannot be paying $15 million to a guy that's not on the field. So it really comes down to if CJ Mosley's on the field and playing football for the New York Jets, it will take this defense to another level. I promise you that. You saw what happened against the Bills, and him and Jamal Adams and an upcoming guy like Quinnen, like I said earlier as well, matching him up with Avery Williamson. We have some quality depth guys at corners. We don't have a solid number 1 cornerback, but I like the depth. I think we have solid pieces and young talent to develop. So I really think that CJ Mosley, if healthy, can elevate this defense to a potential top 3, top 5 defense, especially with Greg Williams as the defensive coordinator. So yeah, those are my strengths and weaknesses and my projected stats for CJ Mosley. Leave a comment down below what you guys expect from CJ. And to finish off this video, I just want to give you guys my thoughts on him in 2020 and what I expect from CJ beyond with the Jets. So in 2020, if he's playing all 16 games, you guys saw what my projected stats are. I'm not going to get too deep into 2020, but I want to talk about 2021, 2022. I'm not too sure of the details of his contract, so I don't know if we have an out, like if Joe Douglas can somehow cut him or some way to restructure his contract, but I think he's going to be a Jet for a while. We signed him for a 5-year mega deal, so he's on the Jets for a while, and he's only aging, so we need him to be healthy in 2020. Because if he's healthy in 2020, it's going to propel him. Maybe he'll get even better in 2021. If he's not better, he's the same or a little worse because he is a top 5 middle linebacker in this league. Like, I don't know if you guys understand how important middle linebacker is to the defense. And we saw how quality this defense was with all these injuries without a guy like CJ and Avery Williamson. I know I sound like a broken record, but just imagine what this defense can do with a CJ Mosley healthy. So I'm expecting CJ Mosley to have a long career with the Jets, and hopefully it all comes down to one thing: durability and availability. 2 things. He needs to be on the field. If he's on the field, all the worries are out the window because he is elite at what he does. I'm not worried about any skill that he has or doesn't do. The only thing I'm worried about with CJ Mosley is can he be on the field and play football without getting injured. So that really does it for this video. I just finished breaking down CJ Mosley. In my next video, I'll be breaking down another Jets player. So make sure you hit that subscribe button if you're new to the channel. I'm posting all Jets content throughout the summer, carrying over into the season. With that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let's go Jets! I'll catch you guys in my next one. Peace.